I am visible and audible. I need to know that. Just a second. Okay, all right. So, yes, I am live. And yes, I am now audible and visible. I have confirmed this with my team. So, we can start the session. Uh, Probably some delay in receiving your messages. Probably that's the case. Right. So, I was talking to you about the TISSNET English Proficiency section. So, how many questions from the English Proficiency section? Quickly tell me. Yes. Okay, let me only tell you. Good evening, Sahil. Okay, Sahil has replied. Thank you, Sahil. 30 questions, right? So 30 questions from the English section. Now, how many from RC passages? So what is the percentage of questions from RC passages out of these 30 questions? Need to know that. Yes, if you have looked at the past year papers, you will know this. Around one third of your questions from the English section belong to RC passages. Okay, so that means that the English section, in the English section, the RC passages, this area, this one field can be up to one third of your English section. So it can fetch you those 33% marks there, right? It's that's why, that's one of the factors that makes it a game changer. Now, what are the other features? How does it become a game changer? Sometimes, see, vocabulary and grammar, they are dependent on your preparation, how well you have prepared for the two. So grammar is dependent on how well you have understood the rules, how many questions you've practiced, right? Similarly, vocabulary, how many words you've learned, how many questions on vocabulary you've practiced. But RC passages is one such thing which you can do on the spot, right? It's just an application of your logic, your mind. So, in case, God forbid, you get difficult vocabulary, you get difficult grammar, RC passages can serve as an antidote to that, right? So, that is why RCs can be a game changer for you. Now, if you look at your past year papers, you will realize this that majority of the questions from these RC passages have been easy. Okay, in case you have attempted a couple of passages, you would know this that most of the questions are, even if they are inference based, even if they are inferential. So, if I talk about 10 questions, in no year did I find that more than seven questions, that more than three questions were tricky. Okay, around seven questions out of these 10, they were easy questions. So that is why you should actually maximize your score here. And these passages also. So if I talk about the genre of these passages, they have been pretty readable. For instance, the OTT platforms, right? There was one about the age of enlightenment, but the language was so easy that you didn't feel that okay, there is something esoteric about it, right? So the passages are not difficult reads, majority of the questions are easy, they fetch you 33% of your marks, and they can be an antidote to difficult vocabulary or grammar. That is what makes your RC passages a game changer. All right, so I can't see your responses because there's a poll here. Let me also mark the answer, then the poll will disappear. Right. uh okay, give me a second. Okay. All right. So I am now looking at the app chat. So welcome Nikita, Aryan, all of you. Right. Let's go for an RC passage now. This is a TISSNET 2018 RC passage. Now, I found this to be slightly abstract. That is why I chose this one. However, the plus side is that it's a very short RC passage. Okay, it's just a paragraph really. Okay, so let's look at this. Let's see some of the questions. Some of them are easy, some of them are tricky. So it's a mixed bag. Yes, read this. This is it. This is your paragraph. This is the passage. Read this. Okay. Kush, Bacha, I've answered your query both on the YouTube comment. I've replied there. I've also answered this in Telegram. You need high school English grammar and composition, the regular edition. It has a red cover. All right. So have we read the passage? Yes? Give me a yes or a no. Okay, so me and my backpack says that they have read the passage. In terms of reading, again, this was not a very difficult read, right? We are talking about the desert, speaking of things with an emphasis quite different from that of the shore, the mountain, the valley, or the plains, right? In fact, our very first question from this RC passage is based on this. So it says, in order to receive the desert's message, the beholder needs to be. What do you think? In order to receive the desert's message, the beholder needs to be the person who is looking at the desert. Okay, so Sahil says A. All right. So I reread that first sentence on purpose. Okay, I'll tell you what that purpose was. I'm getting more of C's here. Jeet, Srilekha, me and my backpack, Manpreet, Aishwarya, Aditi, you all say C, Sunanda says C, Shatrughan says B. Courageous in his reaction. I think B and D could be easily eliminated in this because we are saying that the desert is not that kind of a place which invites your reaction. Okay, it rather turns you inwards, right? It makes you contemplate. That's what we are saying. So, it is not that kind of a place which invites reaction. Those would be the other places perhaps that have been discussed, right? So, I think this can be easily eliminated. Reflective, courageous in his reaction. B can be very easily eliminated. Then D says conservative in his responses. Conservative in his responses. So I understand that the word conservative has been used here. Okay. For one thing, the desert is conservative and not radical. However, we are not, first of all, talking about the idea of responding, the idea of reacting. Secondly, this conservative does not carry a negative connotation that, you don't have to be free, rather, you have to be conservative. So, there's no negative connotation here. Okay, see this. Uh, to those who do listen, the desert speaks of things with an emphasis quite different from that of the shore, the mountain, the valley, or the plains. So here, I am not talking about literally listening to the desert. Yes, I'm not talking about literally listening. So a good listener is eliminated here. Our answer is C. Yes, most of you are correct. The point is that you need to be contemplative in nature. You need to be reflective in nature. That is when you will get the desert's message. Because the desert doesn't invite you to action, to conquest. Rather, it makes you think, makes you reflect, makes you contemplate. So that is why C is our answer. Right? Not A, not B. Okay, B and D, I found easy to eliminate. Usually, I've seen students get stuck between A and C. So, C is our answer here. In case anything is not clear to you in whatever we do today, just tell me in the chat box. Okay, I can repeat it 1,000 times if need be. Okay, so don't hesitate to ask queries because that's the whole point of these sessions, for you to clear your queries. All right. Now, let's look at the second question. The phrase, it brings man up against his limitations, indicates that. Okay, so it brings man up, the desert brings man up against his limitations. What does this mean? This is a contextual vocabulary question. Let's see what you say. We have someone called Kingslayer also today. All right. Interesting names. Me and my backpack, Kingslayer. What do you think this phrase means? Okay, Sauronil says C, Rituja says C, Shatrughan also says C, Ruchita says B. All right. Others? Okay, Sunanda C, Ankita C, Kingslayer C. A lot of you say C. This is actually tricky, but at the same time, a very well framed, a good question. Okay. Intuitively, yes, the moment you read these options, no, you are tempted to mark C, that, man is persuaded to overcome his limitations, right? However, let's go back to the passage. So it says that, overcoming your limitations. Isn't this also a type of a conquest? You are conquering your limitations, yes, when you overcome your limitations. But I am saying it is more likely to provide awe than to invite conquest. Okay, the desert is conservative and not radical, so it's not inviting conquest. So, this persuasion to overcome your limitations. See, the heroism which it encourages is the heroism of endurance, not that of conquest. Again, okay, so it endurance, you bear your limitations. Okay, आप बर्दाश्त करते हो. It basically builds forbearance, not that of conquest. So this sentence, that not that of conquest than to invite conquest, it tells us that okay, it is not really encouraging me to overcome anything. It's rather making me aware of my limitations. It is building my endurance. It is bringing me face to face with my limitations. Okay, so that I learn to basically tolerate, forbear, endure. These are the ideas here. That is why C is not the answer. Okay, that is why C is not the answer here, but I understand this is a tricky question. We are tempted to mark C. So one of you who said that B is the answer, Ruchita, you're absolutely correct. Man is made aware of his limitations. Okay, man is compelled. When you use this word, no, compelled, there's this element of force involved here. The desert is not forcing anything upon you. Okay, that is why this compelled has to be rejected, right? So hopeless, extreme word. Compelled involves force. In that sense, it's extreme. Overcoming his limitations matches the idea of conquest, right? So B is our answer here. I hope this makes sense to you. This was a contextual vocabulary question. We had to mark on the basis of the passage. That's why we have rejected C. Okay. All right. Coming to question 3. The desert is unique among landscapes in that it is relatively dash. Let's see what you mark. Okay. Okay. A, C, D. That's what I've got so far. Okay. All right. So mixed responses. Yes. A and D. Probably confused between A and D. Yes. That's what I can sense. Some of you are saying C also. Okay, thankfully nobody is saying judgmental. Good. The desert does not judge you, right? The desert is not judgmental. That word carries a negative connotation with it. The author has not spoken negatively about the desert, and so this could be rejected. C cannot be the answer, which is C. If you've read the passage carefully, we are calling these other places adventurous, whereas these are what? Your shore, mountain, valley, plains, whereas these invite action and suggest limitless opportunity and exhaust less resources. The implications of the mood of the desert are something different. So they are the ones that are adventurous. Okay, the desert is not an adventurous place, and that is why C has to be rejected. So A and D, yes, these are two options where I could expect you to be confused. Conventional. Conventional comes from convention, which means tradition, right? So tradition, convention. The idea is not that the desert is a conventional place. It's not your traditional place. In a traditional place, you would not feel very out of your comfort zone, but in a desert, you feel your limitations, right? So it is not a conventional place. When we call it conservative, we do not mean that it is traditional in nature. No, we just mean that okay, it is not that adventurous kind of a place which will give you a lot of activities to do, right? Which will present a lot of opportunities before you. Rather, in that sense, it is conservative. Okay, so that is why D will be rejected, and A, it is relatively constant. It's not like you are hopping from one activity to another, one opportunity to another. It's relatively constant. That is why, when do we become reflective? When things around us are at peace. Yes. So, or we are in that kind of atmosphere where we can reflect on those limitations or whatever it is that we want to reflect on. So constant is the answer here and not conventional. Again, I would call this a moderate question. Okay, because see, when we are attempting questions in a time constraint and we have just read the word conservative, it is tempting to mark D as the answer. So this question was moderate, right? I'll not forcibly call it an easy question. Okay, now coming to, and remember, not all your passages have been like this. Again, I picked this up on purpose because I found some of the questions to be tricky, interesting. That's why I picked this up. I'll show you an easier passage also. The next passage that we are going to do will be easier. So don't worry. Okay. Question 4. Let's see. The writer calls the desert conservative rather than radical because it provides an environment that, very easy now, I think. Yes? Now that we've discussed the first three. All right. Okay. Ruchita, Aishwarya, Rituja, Sahil, Sai, Jeet, Soronil, all of you. Priya, Srilekha, Aditi, Mahalakshmi, Sunanda, Ishika, all of you are correct. Very happy to see so many responses. Correct, Gayatri. Inspires one to test one's endurance. Gloomy? No, not at all. Okay, explore it. That's the feature of other landscapes. Unlimited opportunity, feature of other landscapes. So, very easy to eliminate option C. This question here was easy. Okay, now coming to, I am so sorry. Yes, coming to the fifth question. My pen tab seems to be a little hyperactive today. So, yes, the fifth question. If one responds with insight to the mood of the desert, it evokes. What does the desert evoke? Tell me. Okay. All right. Me and my backpack. Soronil, Ruchita. They say B. Ashwarya says D. Manpreet, Sahil, Shatrughan, Sai, Jeet, Srilekha, Ankita. Okay. Great. So majority of you, in fact, almost all of you say B. Absolutely correct. B is the answer. Okay. Now, conquest, no. Resourcefulness, that's again the feature of the other landscapes, right? They exhaust less resources. Yes. So eliminated. Conflict, no, not at all. Rather, it makes you reflect. It's meditative in that sense, not full of conflict. So B is our answer. Okay, so I hope this passage now is clear to you. It had 5 questions. We saw that 2 of them were pretty easy, yes? 4 and 5 were pretty easy questions. 3 of them were relatively trickier. So in the exam, the idea is that I don't get stuck on the tricky questions. Okay, so for instance, let's say I came to question 3. Now I've narrowed down to A and D, but between the two, I'm just not able to make a decision as to which one I should go for, right? So in that case, just mark anything for the time being and proceed. Okay, mark anything for the time being and proceed. Why am I saying mark anything? Because there's no negative marking, right? So don't get stuck. That's the idea. All right. Some tips on you can maximize your okay score in vocabulary based questions. All right, let's discuss this. So if I look at TISSNET vocabulary, you get FIBs that are based on vocabulary, right? You get analogy questions. Then you can get the traditional synonym antonym questions also. So these question types you have already encountered in your other non-CAT exams, right? So I'm hoping you have taken some other non-CAT exams or plan to take them. So as far as the question types are concerned, you won't be in for a big surprise there. That means that how can I maximize my score there? One is at the preparation stage. So at the prep stage, practice a lot of questions. So from where will you get access to these questions? Now that's the question. Go for all your non-CAT exams vocabulary questions. Previous year papers, non-CAT exams vocabulary questions, and of course TISSNET previous year papers. They will help you here. Okay, they apply here as well. That's one way that you can improve on. Second, I always suggest that okay, we can go for a vocabulary book, but I think that's it's a little. I would not suggest this now, right? Vocabulary books. So apart from these previous year questions, what you can do is that in the exam, strategize in such a way. So that's the other element, right? The strategy. In your exam, try to group and eliminate. Something that I have often told you for vocabulary questions. Group and eliminate. I have to write here itself. What does that mean? So if a synonym question has been asked from me and I do not know the meaning of the word whose synonym I have to find out, but I may have read it somewhere, let's say, and I have a vague idea that it's a positive word. It's not a negative word. Then look at these 4 words. Maybe one of them is negative. These out of these 4 options, one of them is negative. So the synonym of a positive word, it cannot really be a negative word. So what did I do? I grouped. I thought of it as a positive word and eliminated the negative answers. Similarly, another way of grouping can be, let's say, again, I have asked you the antonym of a word. Now, in the options, 2 words are very similar. You feel that they are synonyms of each other. If that is the case, then probably neither of them is the answer. Because why would the examiner then give you 2 such close words? This may work. I'm not saying this is a foolproof strategy. Remember that. Okay. But this may work many times. So, group, eliminate, that's in there in the strategy part. Practice a lot of questions, that's there in the preparation part. Okay. And you, if let's say you are just not able to narrow down, right, then just mark anything and proceed. Right? Don't be stuck. All right. So, Sai, I hope that clarifies your query. Now, let's go to the next question. Yes, so if you've been enjoying the session so far, I hope you will like this session. Yes, press the like button, share it with your friends. More importantly, subscribe to the channel so that you keep on getting notifications. And again, I apologize for the delay in today's session. There was some technical glitch, I couldn't help it. This is our second RC passage. This is from last year's paper itself, TISSNET 2021. Okay, so this is to show you how easily readable passages you can get. So read this once. Once you're done with this slide, let me know. I'll go to the next slide. Let me know once you've finished. Pavan, try refreshing your screen. Probably that will help. Done. All right. Going to the next slide. All right. Again, let me know once you finish the second slide. Okay, Prashik says done. So pretty easy read, yes. OTT platforms, all of us have probably, either we have subscribed to Netflix or Amazon Prime or we have heard of it. So nothing that is very esoteric. Esoteric means something known only to a few. Okay, understood only by a few. That is not the case here. So let's see this. Question 1. Which of the given options best represent the author's purpose in writing the passage? A central theme question. So yes, tell me what the answer should be here. Let's see what you say. Okay, Shatrughan has answered. Aishwarya has also responded. Okay. Sahil says A, Prashik, Samriddhi, Priyanka, Manpreet, Priya. Okay, everybody is saying C, it seems. Okay, me and my backpack says A, Sai says A. All right. So I think D is pretty easy to eliminate here. Yes, very happy to see nobody has said D, because we are not really describing the advantages of the OTT platforms in the passage. Similarly, B is easy to eliminate. Why? Because importance of the OTT platforms is not something that has been discussed in the passage. We are not saying, okay, they are important because they, let's say, they talk about important issues which are then broadcast to the masses. Basically, we are not talking about their advantages, and rather we are looking at their presence. But more than that, I understand you're marking C, but more than the presence, we are actually discussing the potential of the OTT platforms. How? Let's see this. Let's look at it paragraph by paragraph. We are saying, okay, this should be the target group. This is my advice. Okay, this is the author's advice. What is this advice based on? Because I am saying that, okay, the number of Indian users are growing at the rate of 4 to 8%. This essentially means that there's massive potential for rural India. So based on the potential, based on the potential, I have made this recommendation. Similarly, what has it generated? Now this is expected to increase to this much. Again, this highlights the potential, doesn't it? Then coming to this slide, when I talk about entry, right? So first of all, I'm saying, okay, earlier this was the case. Now, however, global players have entered, right? So users are offered a plethora of original content. Fine, Hotstar is currently the most popular. In my opinion, Netflix will be the market leader because of so and so reasons. So you are more talking in futuristic terms. You are not just highlighting their presence. You are talking about what is it that they currently make, what are they expected to make, what is the kind of audience that they cater to, what is going to be their audience, right? So at what rate is their user base growing, then who will be the leader? So futuristic terms are being used here, and that is why A is the answer. I hope this makes sense to everybody. In case of any queries, as I have said, ask me. So this was a moderate question. This was not an easy question, if you ask me, because between A and C, students do genuinely get confused whenever I've done this RC passage with them, right? So fine, one moderate question. Maybe the others are easier. Let's see. So this is question 2 here. Which of the given options is an assumption made by the author? An assumption that the author has made. Why not B? Okay, Sanket is asking that for the previous question, why was B not the answer? The importance of the OTT platforms. See, if you want to highlight something's importance, let's say the importance of exercise, then you will talk about, in a way, its benefits, right? That, okay, sorry, uh, it helps to keep your heart healthy, right? It helps to keep you active. So this is what tells me the importance of a particular thing when I talk about its benefits, okay, or the kind of impact, positive impact that it has. However, here I haven't really discussed that. It's more of the kind of an article that would appear on the business page of a particular newspaper, or in the editorial section of a business newspaper, where we discuss the potential of OTT platforms. This is not something that is arguing in their favor, talking about their importance. No. That is why B is not the answer. In case you wish to go back, let me know. We can verify these. So we do talk about providers like Jio entering the market. With major data service providers like Jio bringing down data costs, there has been a significant shift in viewership in India, with the number of Indian users growing at the rate of 4 to 8%. But read this carefully. With major service providers like Jio, so major data service providers like Jio, that means it's not just Jio that has brought down data costs. Okay, and I'm saying that, okay, with that there has been a significant shift. So data cost had kept users away till Jio entered the market. Can I talk just about Jio here? Also, fine, it has brought down the costs It has brought down the cost, that is mentioned to me, and there has been a significant shift in the viewership in India. But can I say that earlier they were kept away, it had kept users away? This is extreme, and it's not just because of Jio. We are talking about major data service providers. That is why B will be eliminated. Happy to see that nobody has marked B as the answer. Now, I see one or two C's. Let's look at C. Digital India campaign led to an increase in the sale of digital devices. Okay, let's see where this Digital India campaign has been talked about. So, we are saying that this number, however, is largely due to the Digital India campaign. Which number? That this number. 18 to that their target group should be 18 to 35 years. Increasing the number of smartphone and data users. So the Digital India campaign increased the number of smartphone and data users. Did it lead to an increase in the sale of digital devices? Alien actually. I don't know. I can't say. Okay, so no such assumption has been made by the author also. The author does not discuss digital devices here. Mobile interface is essential to attract users. Has this been mentioned anywhere in the passage? That mobile interface is essential to attract users. Tell me. Nowhere mentioned in the RC passage, and that is why we eliminate this. A is our answer. Yes, this is an assumption that has been made by the author that original content attracts users. When we talk about this here, that okay, earlier they made only catch-up shows, OTT platforms. However, with the entry of global players like Netflix and Amazon Prime Video, users are offered a plethora of original content. Yes, we see this. No, this is a Netflix original. So it has been produced by Netflix. Okay. Earlier, basically, they were designed for catching up only on those shows that were there on TV perhaps, but you couldn't catch them up at that time. So now there's a lot of original content, and based on that, find that these global players are offering a lot of original content. Based on that, the author has predicted that Netflix will be the market leader in the medium term among millennials, as it is a giant global player and it entered India powerful when it was powerful, mainly due to the youth inspired by Western culture. So you are saying that okay, they are now producing a plethora of content. You are seeing a lot of potential in this market, and you are saying that Netflix, there, it will be the leader. It's a giant global player which entered India powerful. Now it's offering a lot of original content. So that means somewhere it's your assumption that original content is going to attract users. That is how it will become the market leader. So this assumption, yes, I can say has been made because this original content has been mentioned as a benefit, something that is going to benefit Netflix, right? So as an advantage that Netflix has perhaps. So that's why A is our answer here. I hope this is clear to everybody. Yes. Any queries, even if any option is not slightly clear, just ask me, right? English is not like math, no? एक answer आ गया तो अब वही है answer. You can always discuss, debate. Yes, this question, uneasy means when you are not comfortable with something. So if I say I am feeling a little uneasy, that means I'm experiencing some sort of discomfort. Okay. So this question is moderate. I agree. Okay. Why moderate and not difficult? Because yes, you could eliminate. That was there. However, it did require some amount of thinking. It consumed a bit of time. These parts were based in different sections, so you had to go back to those sections. That's why, yes, it is a moderate question. It's not an easy question. Agreed. No, Aishwarya, don't think like that. As I always tell you, see, my aim as a teacher is I know that I can bring easy content to you, and perhaps I should do that because that will boost your confidence. However, I feel that I should tackle the difficult stuff with you because the easy one you can handle yourself, right? You can handle the easy passages yourself. So that is why my effort is always to bring those passages that have something or the other tricky in them, right? So these two questions we've seen. Now let's see the other three questions. Maybe you'll change your opinion. Okay. Right. Question 3. Which of the following can be inferred based on the passage? Tell me. Just a second. Can you explain 2 again? Just a second. Sunanda is saying, can you explain 2 again? Yes, Sunanda. So see, assumption. What is an assumption? Something that has been taken for granted by the author in building his or her argument. That is an assumption, right? So basically what I did was I went to various parts of the passage. So for instance, here we saw that, okay, it was these data costs were probably high till the major players, major data service providers had not entered, right? Once the major players entered, the data costs came down. So we can't just attribute this to geo. So I eliminated B. Similarly, sale of digital devices has not been discussed. So I eliminated C. D, nowhere discussed. I eliminated D. So through elimination, I arrived at A as the answer because the author, while talking about the potential of OTT platforms, mentions this that now they are offering original content also. That means you see this as something that's going to benefit them, right? So that means you feel that okay, this is going to attract users for them. That's why. All right. So now, I hope this is clear to you. Coming to the third question, okay, one of you has answered it as well. Good. Others, yes, tell me. What can be inferred? Do you want to go back? Let's look at the various sections where these things have been discussed again. Rural areas, where have they been discussed? Rural areas. Yes, we talk about rural areas here. This essentially means that there is massive potential for rural India to subscribe to such platforms on a large scale, making rural India also a target group for platforms. So, this is all that we are saying. From this, can I say that the rural areas are entirely untapped? Can I say that? Entirely untapped by OTT platforms? This is extreme, right? So happy to see that while I have got B, C, and D, I haven't got a single A. Okay. Ruchita, no. Okay. In the last lab sessions, I'll tell you. I'll give you the schedule. Okay. So there it will become clear. Let's discuss this later. I'll also talk about error spotting. One of the students asked that. Now, digital streaming and OTT refer to the same type of platform. Let's see where do we talk? Where do I mention this word digital streaming? Right. So I refer to OTT platforms. OTT platforms. Fine. But here in the very next sentence, I talk about some their revenue in 2017, then in 2022. Then I say digital streaming platforms overtook film entertainment to rank the third largest Indian media and entertainment sector in 2019, according to so and so research. This entire passage has been about OTT, right? And I do talk about the shows that they provide to you. So these shows are streamed there, and no other mention of digital streaming devices has been there. So don't you think that B is the answer? Those who marked C, why do you think that B is not the answer? Let's look at C. I understand that you have applied data interpretation here, and we are saying that earlier it was 2019 crores, 2001 9 crores, right? And it will more than double. Of course, I can see that if it's 5595, but will more than double, or is it expected to increase? It is expected to increase. I can't say it will more than double. So this again becomes too definitive. It becomes extreme. Okay, it will probably more than double. It may actually more than double. So eliminated, eliminated. Now let's look at D also. Let's look at D as well. Although, one or two of you have given me D as the answer. Millennials are the only age group that OTT platforms should focus upon. Where is this stated by the passage that they are the only age group? No, we are saying okay, they should. The target group of major OTT platforms should ideally be millennials, but we are not saying that that should be the only focus. That will again be extreme. So extreme and extreme and extreme. B is my answer. Hope this is clear to you. All right, all right. Was confused between B and C. Okay. Utkrishт, I hope this is clear to you now. First line. Uh, Acha. So the first line, yes, I have read it. However, that does not mean that it should be the only age group that they should target. Right? You always have a major target group, right? Okay, this is my major main market, but that doesn't mean you don't sell to other people, right? So eliminated. B is my answer. Chalo, then I hope this is clear. Let's so see now. This was, in my opinion, this was an easy to moderate question. I don't think this was tricky. You could eliminate, right? Um, Here, yes. In the just a second, the third and the fourth question, are they the same? Just a second. I think I've repeated a question. Acha, no, they're not the same. ठीक है. Just the question stems are the same, isn't it? Rural areas. No. Either this had just four questions or I have repeated this by mistake. This is my mistake then. If there were five. Let's look at the fifth question. The passages most likely appeared in dash. Yes. Where has this passage appeared? What do you think after a reading of this passage? Source, the likely source of this passage. Last question for the day. I want your enthusiastic response. Okay, D. All right, I've got four D's, two C's. Okay, six, seven D. Okay. Newspaper, that's what Ishika thinks. D, all right. Doesn't appear to be a research journal, right? It's not that technical. It doesn't have so much jargon for me to say that, okay, it's from a research journal, isn't it? So, this is not from a research journal. Besides, the author says, in my opinion, you don't use that kind of language in a research journal. In my opinion, this is going to happen. You use it in an editorial. So, this is from a newspaper publication, not a computer magazine. Why would, I mean, a computer magazine talk about the business potential of OTT platforms? No. Brand building, had it been about brand building, then we would have promoted a particular brand, let's say just Amazon Prime or just Netflix, but that is not happening. So just whenever you are asked this question, just look at the characteristics of these sources and see if their characteristics match with the content that has been given to you, and then you will get your answer. So see, an easy question again. So this passage was a mixed bag with at least two easy questions for you, right? And that is why I'm telling you, out of your 10 questions in any year, I haven't seen this, that out of your 10 questions, let's say more than 3 questions were tricky. Okay, I haven't seen that. So now your homework is, you're going to attempt all the RC passages from your previous year papers, or better still, you can attempt them like actual papers. Okay, just go for the VARL section ones, okay, the English section only, in case you don't want to sit at a stretch if you don't have the time. But yes, do attempt. Now, so my advice to you, my parting advice, mark all the answers, of course, right? Go for the easier passage first, although it's likely that you'll get only two passages, but in that also prioritize. Okay, always prioritize in all your exams. It's not just this exam, it's not just CMAT. Any exam you go for which has multiple passages, always go for the easier passage first, because it puts you at ease, it ensures accuracy, it maximizes your score. Okay, so this is the go-to strategy for any exam that has multiple passages. Don't get stuck on questions, something that I've already told you multiple times. And yes, don't take this lightly, because RCs can help you with at least 30% of your English score, right? Uh, okay. No, Ruhanit, you didn't miss fourth. Actually, I had repeated fourth by mistake. 3 and 4 were the same questions. Okay, for error spotting, one of you was asking me what we can do for error spotting. It's actually a very pertinent question, because if you look at your TISSNET based, grammar, the grammar that TISSNET asked, it has asked a lot of error spotting and sentence correction questions. So again, the thing is, there is no one dedicated source that will just make you practice error spotting, right? So previous year questions of various non-CAT exams, don't just be confined to TISSNET. Plus, if again you are going into the depth of this issue, how will I be able to spot the errors when I'm clear with my grammar concepts? If I don't know that, okay, where do we use it apostrophe s and where do we use its, then how will I be able to spot the error if there is such an error in the sentence? So be very clear with your grammar concepts. Okay, this would be my suggestion for error spotting. And when you attempt, let's say if you go for any grammar book, so let's say you decide, okay, prepositions is my weak area, and I have seen some questions on prepositions in TISSNET. So let me go through that chapter of prepositions from Wren and Martin, right? Go for the exercise also, very important, the exercise that is there at the back. Okay, because that is what will make you realize, okay, this is where I'm still committing a mistake even after reading the chapter. What mistakes you should avoid? See, the thing is, TISSNET English section is not very difficult. As an exam itself, TISSNET is not a very difficult exam. So, the idea is that again, your overall performance is dependent. It's interdependent on various sections. But if I have to just talk about the English section, if let's say you attempt your vocab or grammar questions first, because see, either you know these or you don't know these, so you'll be quick and it will really build your confidence once you've attempted a significant number of questions. So go for these first. Then I would say go for parajumbles if they are asked, the logic part, basically verbal logic as I like to call it. Then go for your RC passages. In your RC passages, prioritize. Okay, go for the easier one first. Don't get stuck. Roughly, you're getting just 1 minute, not even roughly, exactly, you're getting just 1 minute per question. So don't get stuck anywhere, right? Try, okay, that you, if English is your strength, you maximize your accuracy here, because see, general awareness is a dicey thing, right? So maximize your accuracy, maximize your score here if English is your strength. Even if it is not your strength, I would suggest that, try that you score a 22, 23 in the English section, a 20 plus at least in the English section. Try that you score that. Of course, this is very relative. It will depend on the difficulty level of the exam also. अगर exam ही difficult आया तो ये difficult हो जाएगा score करना. So, based on the analysis of previous year papers, I am saying, right? What type of idioms to learn? No, there's no one particular type of idioms that TISSNET asks. It can ask you any idiom under the sun. So, again, you must be thinking that I keep on harping about Ren and Martin, but yes, it does have a chapter on idioms. Go through that first. Otherwise, there are a lot of apps available on Play Store that are dedicated to idioms. Just download one of those apps and keep on learning some idioms every day. That's what you can do. Okay, I hope I have addressed your queries and I hope you like the session. So please show your appreciation by pressing the like button, right? Do subscribe to our channel. And now this is the schedule. You were asking me, if vocabulary and grammar will be covered. Actually, I did take a session on TISSNET grammar. Just this Saturday only I took it on the BYJU'S Exam Prep app. So please keep a track of what all is happening on the Exam Prep app, because the thing is that these sessions are just live sessions. They are not recorded there. So it's very important that you catch them at that point. So I've already taken one on Saturday now. Okay. So yes, these are the sessions that you can still attend. You can make a note, right? And yes, in case any of your friends or you are interested in VAT PI, then you can enroll here. Fluency in English, Mansi, that's a product of immersing yourself in the language. Okay, so speaking, reading, writing, and what is the last element? Listening, right? So this is how you can become more fluent in English. Just practice all these elements. Okay. Now, this is an ongoing batch in case you wish to enroll, a CAT 2022 batch, or any of your friends wishes to enroll, right? And yes, do follow us on Telegram. A lot of interesting discussions happen here. Your doubts are solved. Anything that you wish to ask, share, you can do that here. Of course, related to the test prep, right? All right, all right. So this is it from my end. I hope I've addressed all your queries. All the very best for the exam. Yes. And I'll see you next time then. Bye.